into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and my guests tonight need absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to give them one anyway. They are the chefs and owners of one of Omaha's most beloved restaurants, and one of my favorite restaurants, Block 16. They are James Beard Award nominees, farm owners, creators of God knows how many daily specials at the restaurant, operators of the funniest social media account in Omaha, and you just might see them on the Food Network coming up sometime soon. That's just a little teaser out there.
Thank you.
Of Block 16 fame, please welcome Jessica Urban and Paul Urban. So before we even get started, and I know these two are going to deny this, but I'm going to say it because it's true. None of you would be in this room right now if it were not for these two. Back when this was just a fledgling little podcast, back in, I think it was the fall of 2019, I started this thing. And the first couple episodes, it was just like me having my friends on, and we were talking about burgers, and we talked about like the origin of the runza and stuff. And then these guys came on the show, and all they knew of me at that point was just that I was some crazy guy on Twitter who just tweeted at them all the time and was like, I love your food so much. And they took a chance and came on the podcast, and that gave legitimacy to the show. I went back and actually looked. Within 3 months of you guys coming on the show, I had the chefs and owners of Kitchen Table, Virtuoso Pizzeria, Porky Butts, Au Courant, and Yoshitomo on the podcast. So you can deny it all you want, but the heavy hitters started coming on the show after Jess and Paul made their appearance. So thank you very much for all that you've done to grow this podcast, to grow this brand, and for just being awesome people.
Thank you,
man,
Dan.
of course. Well, thank you. We love you. Yeah, thank you, man.
And the same goes right back to you. Thank you for all you've done for the support of the culinary community in Omaha, and that you continue to do.
It's my pleasure. Okay, enough with the sappy stuff.
Okay.
Let's get into the questions. So if anyone here has not been to Block 16, now you've had a poutine burrito tonight, or you've had the mini version. So change that about your life and get down there. Located about 16th and Farnham. I'm really interested about how you guys got into Block 16, because you both came into kind of the cooking game with fine dining backgrounds, and your original idea, even for the restaurant, when you got Block 16, it wasn't going to be fine dining, but it was going to be like a French bistro or a gastro pub. And obviously what you own now is different than that. Can you just give the good people here just a quick backstory on how Block 16 came to be?
Sure.
This is how a lot of interviews go. Well, we had been looking for a long time. We started in downtown Omaha, and as the rent got a little bit cheaper and cheaper as you moved further away from downtown Omaha, we landed at what is now Block 16, and we had every intention of finding a spot, turning it into our dream, something kind of nicer, gastropub, whatever. And we actually called on what is now Table Grace, and just to check what the rent was, and it was substantially lower than anything we had heard. Like, we couldn't even believe that. We thought they were missing a couple zeros. And so we went into New York Chicken and Gyro, which was open next door. And
We wanted to ask about the landlord.
Yeah, we're just like, how's the landlord? And they were like, well, we'll sell you this place, and it's already got a hood system. And so we were like, let's do it. And so we moved forward with it, and we just kind of like, we had no money. We had negative money.
And I cried because it was a Euro shop, and growing up in Canada in high school, I worked at a Euro shop during lunch and after school, and I thought, I'm never going to work at a Euro burger shop ever again. And sure enough, it was burgers and Euros. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, but his Euros were awesome.
They were amazing, and truly.
So we just kind of, we showed up at this place, and it had purple walls and black and white tile, and he had felt on the tables, and then he glued plastic on top of them, and he had the menu, but then he had another menu, and I'm not knocking him. He was such a nice guy.
No, but there was a lot of menus.
But yeah, then there was another menu that was kind of hanging up on the wall, and then there was another one with all fried food, and it was all this stuff. But we were just well, we'll take over, and we'll work our day and our night jobs, and then we'll change it as we go. But again, we didn't have any money, so all we had was freezers and fridges full of food that came with the place. And so we were well, let's tighten up the menu a little bit and we'll start running specials and get rid of some of this product. And it was literally like we'd, do $75 on a Monday. We'd pay
to Paul's family.
Yeah, they were our only customers. And we'd take, whatever we could out of that $75 and buy more product with it. And then just it kept kind of growing from there. And
we thought we'd always get to our sort of fine dining gastropub.
Yeah. And Jess was working, she was painting full time and she was working full time at the Twisted Cork. And I was the sous chef of the Omaha Country Club. So, the place needed a lot of work. So we literally
we worked around the clock.
We worked around the clock. It was get there at 6 a.m, clean, set up, cook till 2, clean really fast, go to our other jobs, come back at night and finish cleaning and then go to bed. And this was before kids, obviously, but it was just a lot of work. And then the rest of it was really just going with it,
Yeah, we started using the ingredients that were there and started doing daily specials. And then people walking by and the old regulars started to try our food and trust us.
Yeah. Then this guy, Johnny Perez, he works for Politico now. He was a writer for the World Herald, and he started to come in. And we got to be really good friends with him. We called him Johnny Gyro because he'd always come in and get 2 or 3 gyros. And he was friends with Sarah Baker Hansen. So word got to her, and then it just kind of started to snowball from there. And then really we just kind of took this attitude of just, let's just go with it and do what we can.
Let's do sandwiches.
Yeah, so we just started to do sandwiches, and then somebody graffitied our bathroom, so we hired a graffiti artist to finish the job. Somebody,
yeah,
so it was just kind of let's just go with it. And we didn't even have Facebook until year 4 or 5. We just hung about, we hang our specials outside, and somebody was like, you got to put this on Facebook.
Our sign kept getting stolen and broken.
So we would just cut pieces of wood and hang it out there knowing that someone was going to take it.
Paint it with black chalkboard paint. Yeah. And one of our customers said, you guys need to get, we had a flip phone, but they said you need to get an iPad or something and get a Facebook account and start posting pictures. So we didn't really trust in it, but we were like, okay, well, we'll do this. She was in social media, which was very early in its game back then. And so we did it, and that really built our business, just posting on Facebook.
Yeah, we celebrated for hours the night we hit 200 followers. It was just crazy. But it was, what's really funny about that too is we still didn't have any money, so we opened a Nebraska Furniture Mart card and we bought a camera. And so every day we would take a picture with a pretty legit camera, and then we'd take the SD card out and hook it up to our giant computer and then post from there. We're really showing our age here. And one morning, I think Jess was working or something. She was food styling. And I was I carried our steam table over. I got it plugged in. I had the camera.
Yes.
And I plugged it in. I went to get water to fill it and start the day. And I was working, and then I smelled something. And
burning plastic.
Yeah, I had melted the camera. I plugged in the steam well, and I forgot to put water in it, but I had the camera in there. So it just melted. We still have it in the basement. Yeah. It's like a trophy. But,
we had lots of things like that. We used to, again, plug that. We got another camera, and then we'd plug the SD card into the computer. And then one unfortunate Saturday night, we left the hand sink running, and the next morning we came in Sunday morning to do, stuff that you do on Sunday mornings, and we had flooded Block 16, and the office was in the basement, and so we picked up our monitor, and you could tip it, and water came out.
Yeah.
So that's maybe when we got the iPad, I think.
It could have been.
Year 2 or 3 or something.
That was actually I was there. We were both there late cleaning one night, and I was cleaning the oven.
No, okay, go. Sorry. People don't. No one here wants to hear me talk. They want stories from you guys. So if I don't say another word, that's a win for everyone.
So we used to have to do everything. So we were there deep cleaning one night. We got a new oven. And it wasn't new. It was actually, they found it in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
And
Kelly's.
Yeah. And so we had it delivered because our other one had died. We had our friends bring it, and then Chef Lionel Have, who's
truly
the best chef that Omaha will probably ever see. He was 80 years old at the time, was there. Hooked up the gas with us, not legal at all, got it all cleaned up.
We were scrubbing the hail damage rust spots off of it. This is true.
So we were there late one night, and we were cleaning the inside of it, and I was inside of the oven, and I was like spraying it with this chemical that no one should breathe in ever. And I had like set it down and I was scrubbing, and then I picked it back up and I had sprayed myself in the face with it. So I ran over to the hand sink and I was like, oh, and I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. And I left. And the next day we had my grandpa's funeral, and we came to Block 16 after.
In our clothes.
And I'll never forget, we were like dressed up nice, and we walked in, and we looked in, and Jessica like laughed, and she's like, what's that?
Like the floor was
And rippling. The floor was just covered in water. So I had left the hand sink on. We flooded all of Block 16. Like, it was so bad. Called the insurance company, and they sent down this company. Is true. And they had like just drilled all the holes in the wall, and they had plugged everything in, and they plugged in their last dehumidifier, and all of the lights went out. And I was like, oh man, like we must have blown a fuse. So I opened up the back door to kind of let some natural light in. And I'm like, man, like downtown looks really dark right now. I'm like, did we blow all of the fuses? And it ended up being that, it was like national news. It was in the New York Times. Like,
yeah, this was like 10 or 11 years ago when downtown. It was like
several blocks away. A rat had chewed through a line, and there was this famous picture of a manhole cover that had like blown like 8 feet in the air, and it shut down all of downtown Omaha for 3 days. So all of our food is in our cooler. It's raining at that point.
We have water everywhere.
Yeah. So we're like...
Brutal beginnings, people. Brutal beginnings.
Yeah. So we were like Navy... Well, I don't want to compare us to Navy SEALs. We were people with flashlights going throughout the night. Just
candles,
like in there,
candles from Supermercado.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
we did the blessings one. Because we had to bring everything to our house that we could. We filled my mom's fridge. We filled our fridge. We filled my sister's fridge. And it was just like that for 3 days. So we were out, a week basically with nothing.
That's how we began, Dan.
Open a restaurant, they said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly you've moved past that stage, very, very successful now. But what I kept hearing there was just, there's all these pivot points. Something goes wrong, but you just have to pivot, and you have to keep finding a way to make it happen, even when there's disaster, there's calamity.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you guys learn to embrace the overall pivot, in that, okay, we're not going to have fine dining, then we're not going to have our French bistro, we're going to have a sandwich shop. How did you learn to embrace that and say, Block 16 might not be what our original idea was, but this is our thing now. This is it. We got to go with this.
I think partially because selling sandwiches was paying the bills. And we also enjoyed that type of service, I think. And we were able to put things from fine dining that you'd normally put on a plate in between two buns, which was super fun.
Well, and I think it's the attitude too, because I'll tell kids this all the time that are like getting into it, and it's like you can't go into it with a backup plan. You know what I mean? Like, you're already giving up on yourself if you've got like, okay, if this doesn't work exactly how we want it, then we're going to go do this, and then you're just going to fail. Where we were like, we're going to do this, and like, there's nothing like. We literally had no backup plan. Jessica has a whole skill set. I have nothing else. Like, there would have been nothing. So
comedy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it really was just like, it's whatever it takes, man. We're going to get it done. And as long as we get to keep our standards with everything,
And you'll notice that about chefs too, especially savory chefs, because it's a constant pivot when you're cooking. So you have to be able to do that, I think, to be successful.
I love what you just brought up, Jess, because it's something that I wanted to talk about tonight is, yes, you can look at the Block 16 menu and there's a fry basket that has Doritos and Dorothy Lynch dressing on it, and you have a special with a waffle cone stuffed with meat inside a burrito. Like, there's wild stuff out there, but there's also a lot of specials that have like duck confit, birria beef, andouille, shaved prime rib. Like, these are fine dining elements that you're finding a way to like repurpose and incorporate into sandwiches and burritos and wraps and stuff like that. How did you come to that realization that we can take the fine dining, we can take what we love about cooking, and we can introduce it in a totally different way to a crowd that normally might not ever expose themselves to this food?
I think it's because that's what we want to eat. Like, we would eat that. Like, that sounds good to us.
Yeah, it's just a lot of staff meals over the years at fine dining restaurants. It's like, whatever's... You have some pulled beef and some risotto, and you have bread, so you just take a sandwich, and and it's like, well, we should share this with some people. So,
yeah.
How does Block 16 allow you to express yourself as chefs in a way that maybe owning a fine dining restaurant wouldn't?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
a very good question.
Deep question, Dan.
I'm very philosophical.
Yeah.
No, I mean, because I don't know that a fine dining would restrict us either.
No, but I do think that like we have gained like such a cool following doing the food that we do that might be a little more approachable than in fine dining. So
that's it.
We've got a pretty large following now, and people trust us, and so that's been really nice that we can like, you know, you can't just open up a restaurant and serve chicken heart tacos, but like we can do that because we have, you know, a lot of people that are like, okay, well, I've tried weird stuff with them before, so we can try it now.
They didn't fail me last time.
Right, yeah,
and that's how we started getting busy, honestly, was those chalkboard things, and the old customers from New York Chicken and Gyros were like, I've had the burger. Okay, I trust it. I'll try this. And then, you know, it just grew from there. Yeah. Word of mouth and people trying and trusting.
So Block 16 is 14 years old now. You guys have been...
It'll be 13 in November.
Oh, boy.
One month.
Just go with it, man. Now I'm embarrassed in front of all these people. Math was never my strong suit, clearly. Okay, so almost 13. I'm only off by 2 years. You've mentioned, you know, there were kind of some early struggles. You had to earn the trust of people. When did you feel like you hit your stride? When did you feel like Block 16 really became Block 16?
After all of that?
I mean, that's tough. Yeah, because I don't feel like we've hit it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot that we have such a cool line situation right now with our cooks that they're running the line better than we ever did. And
yeah,
like,
they're doing a great job.
We have the best crew in Omaha right now, and I'm saying it, and I'm jinxing it, and they're probably all going to quit when we get done here. But it's like, it just goes to show you that like there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of room to grow. But I do think that I feel like we had some really good press, and then when Alton Brown came in, we've talked about it before, but he just really like put us from, you know, we were doing like 200 people a day to like sometimes 500 people a day, and it just like didn't stop, you know what I mean? So, and
we had hit that 5-year mark, and you know, when you open a business, like we were just terrified the 1 year and then 3 year, and so that
I would
gave
also
us some
say
confidence.
Like when the nasty negative 1-star Yelp reviews stopped bothering me, that's like that's when the like I think we kind of hit our stride, when it was just like, you know what, I'm like, who cares?
So if anyone doesn't know what Paul's referencing when he says Alton Brown, famous Food Network personality, Good Eats was a show that was very, very popular for many years. And he was doing some kind of tour back in 2015. And he came and ate at Block... I'm giving you the very short version of the story, but came and ate at Block 16, had the Croque Garçon burger, and called it his favorite burger in the country. As you might expect, that can kind of blow up a restaurant's sales a little bit. So you guys were already churning out great food, but that just kind of gave you the visibility where it was like, oh, you know, I haven't eaten at Block 16. I need to go try it. And then that's when, you know, the snowball starts rolling down the hill from there.
Yeah. And he actually was the one, he posted that on Instagram, which we didn't have because we didn't, you know, follow suit with the times.
Yeah, he was our first follower.
Yeah, he told us right then and there. We had a friend in the lobby that knew how to figure that out, and he put it on our phone, and Alton followed us, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Paul, you say that you've got the best team of line cooks and just cooks in Omaha, you think. What are the traits that make them so great? What makes them able to function as a team so well?
You know, I'm not positive. They all get along really well. We all get along very well. We all have the same mindset of like we're here to cook, and we're here to make sure that the food is safe and delicious, and it's getting out in a timely manner. And everyone has the same amount of respect for each other. There's no like
totally. And like team player, like you hear that word all the time. Like I'm a team player, be a team player, but a team player is managing the success of your teammates. You're all working together. It's like clockwork. If there's a gear that gets stuck, you don't fault the gear, you fix the gear. And I feel like our team and our team leader right now, they work as a team through respect.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're just, I mean, they're very, very focused on the line, and it's good to see. I mean, and they're great at holding each other accountable too. If somebody, including me, I'll come up there and I've always got something dumb to say, and I'm like, oh, you guys want to hear this? And they'll be like, chef, not right now, we're busy. And you know what I mean? And I love that. I think that's so cool because you got a line down the street and people aren't, you got to wait in line for 30 minutes. You don't want to wait another 30 minutes for your food. So. Well,
I did hear Wyatt the other day. I was on 4th Station picking up special, and he was leading the line, and the order was waiting, and so I heard someone ask him, what are we waiting on, chef? And he knew it was me. So he was like, just really quietly, and he was being so patient with me, but he watches those things and knows when food is coming, and it's a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm. You guys mentioned that the daily specials were kind of born out of necessity almost, because you had this extra food and you were like, well, we have it, we don't have any money, so let's use this food, let's repurpose it. Now I would probably argue that's probably what Block 16 is best known for, is just that at 10:15, you can get on Instagram or get on Facebook sometime between 10:15 and 10:30, and there's going to be that post, and it's going to be something that's going to just grab your attention, whether it's the picture or it's the components that are in this sandwich or burrito or whatever it is. It's going to be something that's going to catch your attention. This isn't just going to be, a grilled cheese or your standard burger. Why, how do you think that became the backbone of the restaurant? Like, it starts off as something as necessity, and now it's like, this is what we're known for. How did that evolve, do you think?
I think a lot of it had to do with, our initial dream, one of the things we wanted to do is open up a restaurant where we change the menu every single week. Almost, like Au Courant does it. It's right. Like whatever you get in, that's what you put out. And, you can't really do that as much with a sandwich shop that serves a lot of the same people over and over. But you still have all this stuff that you need to get out of your head. And so it's like having a daily special. You can still oh my God, I really want to do something with steak this week. Oh my God, I really wanted to, whatever. And
I want to try this. I want to make this.
Yeah, it was just a good way to keep the creativity going and the freedom of it.
Well, you guys have inspired a lot of people, because I've had many restaurant owners and chefs on my show who don't have tasting menu restaurants, but they have barbecue restaurants or another sandwich shop or something, and they're constantly trying to come up with specials because they're like, that's how you create interest in a menu. If a customer comes in every time and they have the same options, then they might come once or twice a month, maybe. But if there's constantly something new to keep their attention and make them go to Facebook at 10:15 in the morning and be like, I wonder what special's coming out, that's how you can really get those repeat customers. Or you might get somebody who wasn't going to come in who all of a sudden decides to. What does it mean to you guys that you have kind of become that inspiration? Because I've had what I just said, so many chefs tell me on the podcast, and they always reference Block 16. They're like, Block 16 is the OG. They cracked the code. They figured it out. That's how we model our posts after. What does it mean to you guys to be that inspiration for so many other places?
Who's ripping us off?
I can start naming names.
I think that's so cool. It really is, because we did, like I said, we did it for all the right reasons, and we still do it for all the right reasons.
We're just like, everyone will always say about the Facebook post, who's your content creator and who came up with that? And Paul is just naturally funny. And there's some days weeks where we know what we're going to do all week. There's some days where we know what we're going to do for 1 or 2 days. But there's some mornings we get up and we don't have a special, and we're like, what are we going to do today? We get to work, and it's literally quickly take a picture real quick, and Paul just puts it out there, and it's just natural what's in his head. There was I think not having an agenda and just letting it be natural. A lot of the specials too, before we had kids, we had dogs. And we would always walk our dogs, and we'd always be talking and walking and talking about food. And that's how a lot of specials rolled off. What about this? I feel like eating this. What about if we put this on it? And it was all very organic. And, a lot of it stemmed from cravings. And I think when Paul posts, when Paul posts, it is natural. And some people will say, again, it's who does your content and this and that? And it's nobody. We just are just doing it because that's where someone told us to advertise, and that's what we did. Mm-hmm. So.
But it is really cool. It's just cool to know that you're an inspiration for anybody, honestly. And it's we've got a lot of friends in the industry, and a lot of people do say some really nice stuff, and it's cool that because we get inspiration from other people too. So.
I think God is the only person who knows how many specials you guys have come up with over the past 13 years. But when you think of like your favorite ones or the ones that stand out, what are a couple that just popped right to the? There's some that you're thinking of right now that come right to the front of your brain. What are they?
Burrito, right? That was a special.
Well, let's talk about the origin of the poutine burrito, because this was a point of contention between you two at its origin.
It was.
Yeah. Jessica's Canadian and a purist for all things poutine, and one of her favorite hobbies is showing disgust in my ideas. And so I had this idea, because I'm from Omaha, and like we put everything in a burrito. And I'm like, and I love poutine, and like
and in Canada, our version of a burrito was not good. So.
Yeah, they didn't. Where she came from, there just wasn't a whole lot of burritos. So I had this idea of doing the poutine burrito, and it was like, I thought it was really fun and it sounded good, and then she just was like, what? And then like made it even worse by like, I remember like she was like taking the photo while on the phone with her mom, and she's like, "Can you believe this?" Like, and I don't think we were married yet. Like she was like, "I don't even like. What if he asked me to marry him after this?" Like it was like,
and my mom was siding with me.
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, why would you do that?"
It's awful.
And then we sold like 1,000 of them, and it was like. It was probably the fourth greatest day of my life. After wedding and the 2 kids being born, this was like, I think about it all the time. I thought about it on the way here.
Yeah, so a lot of our specials become main menu. Like if they're that successful, we'll run them again, and then we'll get usually enough people messaging us.
Yeah. I like the chicken and waffle and mac and cheese burrito only because I like to see how many people it upsets. Like, there's always like 1,000 people who are like, "Oh, this looks so crazy and good," and then there's like 40 people that share it, and they're like, "This is disgusting," and it's like they're like really mad that we did this, and I was like, "I got to make payroll, man. Like, we're serving it, you know what I mean?" But. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, nothing really comes.
It's hard because there have been so many. We started a book. We started collecting them, and
we're at 4,000 specials, by the way. Yeah, a little over 4,000.
Yeah, so it's a big book. But we look at some of those early ones, and you forget. Like, you just forget because you're thinking of it every single day, something new every single day. And to go back and see some of our older stuff, which still still seems completely awesome and relevant. Like, we totally run it again. But to pick one is really tricky.
Yeah.
Just running through, I think I only went back, 6 months or so. I was just running through specials because there are many that are like kind of like the things that I mentioned before. Like there could be a sandwich with duck confit or, a beef birria burrito, like stuff that is like just really interesting. And it kind of takes that fine dining and brings it into an approachable level. And then there's just the crazy stuff. Yeah. There's like, so here's a couple that I found. A peanut butter chicken burrito, taco mac and cheese, or my personal favorite was a sandwich where the buns were 2 crab rangoon crunch wraps and sweet and sour fried chicken was in the middle. Yeah. That was a sandwich. Like, so it's one thing to say, this is the stuff that we wanted in fine dining, and now we're bringing it to this level. Yeah. With specials like this, where are those coming from?
Well, and we have to mention, though, too, like for the longest time, it was just Paul and myself. And then the staff started doing specials. And a recent special a staff member came up with, which was 2...
the pork schnitzel tacos.
So it was literally pork schnitzel pounded out and then fried like a taco and filled. And you got 2 of them.
What was it filled with?
German potato salad.
Oh, there you go.
Some house pickles.
As one does.
Red onion.
It was good. And it was
very good.
Juan Carlos Ibarra. He works for us, and he's amazing. And he works at camp as well.
Oh, okay.
And the guy's always like, because not everyone feels comfortable doing it. We're like, when we hire people, we're like, come up with specials. We'll help you. We love it. It's fun. But a lot of people are just like, I just want to cook for a couple years. Or
it's like nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but Juan's just like, I want to make tacos out of schnitzels. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. So it's always nice when, they throw down.
Well, I imagine, not only is it a benefit for you guys in that you get to show their creativity to the world, but it's meaningful to them too, where it's not just like, oh, I'm coming into work and somebody's telling me what to make, but they get to express their creativity. And I'm sure that you have many employees who, like you said, are just like, I just want to cook for a little while. I just want to make some money. That's all I want. But there are some who definitely have culinary aspirations, and to be able to have that platform at Block 16 to be able to create their dishes and have those released to the public, I imagine that that makes team morale just go through the roof, right?
Yes. Yeah, we've had some just stellar staff over the years that have gone on to do really amazing things, and we couldn't be more proud.
Yeah, we learn a lot along the way too. It's always like...
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about time, because time is the resource that none of us think that we have enough of. But there are some people who just seem to have infinite amounts of it. And that, to me, you guys seem like that. I'm sure it doesn't seem like that to you. But you are the parents to 2 adorable girls. You own a restaurant. You own a farm. You recently purchased land in Canada. You travel quite a bit. That seems impossible for 2 people to... And I didn't even mention you've got the photography going on, the food photography as well. That seems impossible for 2 people to take that much on. But you guys are doing it, and you're thriving, and I think it's because you're so good at prioritizing your time. I know there's no secret to doing that, but what would you say allows you to best manage your time so you're able to take on all these different things?
I think it's kind of just the people we are, for one, because we have a lot of friends that it's like, Sunday's my day off. This is what I do. We have friends that watch football from 6 a.m. until midnight. Yeah, whatever. And sometimes I'm jealous, but it's just not in us, because we'll have maybe my mom will watch the kids, excuse me, and we're like, okay, it's Sunday. Mom's got the kids until 6 p.m. Let's just lay in bed and watch a movie. By 7:30 in the morning, we're like, we should just go pull a few weeds, and we should just go, and we enjoy it.
Yeah, this Sunday we went out 3 times.
We tore the garden out. We're trying to tear out
the garden, and it was hot, but we went out and got it done.
So there's that, and it's just, I think we just have a lot of goals and aspirations, and we love being on the farm. That's something we've said before, that everyone for a long time is like, what's the next thing? What are you going to open another Block 16? You going to open this? And I almost feel like the farm is what our next thing is. It's
that come out of there.
Yeah, it's become it's become everything for us. It's for the kids. It's for the earth. It's for the restaurant. It's for us. And so I just think it's.
Well, and I think we've always had a busy schedule in our childhood and in our young adult, working several jobs. Just keeping busy, staying busy. I think for me especially, I get, I've had episodes of my life where I felt very sad. And I think that's not, it's a lot of people in the business have. And I think that propelling yourself forward, I'm constantly in a forward motion, and that makes me happy, and just continuing to build and to do things.
Right.
And prioritizing, sure. With our kids especially, we try to, put them first ahead of anything when obviously we have to go to work, but big time. And then just filling our days with things that we like, and we like everything we're doing. That's the thing. And at work, I love being at Block 16. It's a great atmosphere, and you're doing what you love. You get to go to work and cook. So, or work with food.
I know, when I first started, I sat down I had a table at a convenience store by my parents' house when I was signing up for culinary school, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I remember having the thought in my head that I'm just gonna give everything up. I'm not gonna be able to go to family functions. I'm not gonna. I don't know anyone that would marry me. There's no way I'm gonna have kids, because you just work. This is what you sign up for. At least that was my mentality. And now I'm I'm 40, and I can have a few days off, and I have kids, and now I'm just we got to do everything. Let's get some land in Canada, and I want to learn how to hunt, and you know what I mean? It's we just feel so blessed that it's now we're oh, are we going to run out of time? We got to go
that is
do
true.
all of our fun stuff. So.
That is true. Like you're constantly thinking you're going to run out of time. So
plus with the traveling, like we have been blessed with our kids are incredible, and they're incredible travelers.
Incredible diners.
Incredible diner. Their favorite restaurant in Omaha is Overcame. They ordered, the last time we were there, 3 rounds of oysters. We had to like stop them because we're like, we can't afford this. And, like, you know what I mean? But like we took them to New York. They had 3 Michelin stars. They did a 3.5-hour tasting menu. So that makes it all easier when you have
they're like
really,
our friends.
They're cool
too,
kids.
Yeah.
Well, I want to touch on that real quick because I feel like we baby kids' palates so much. Most restaurants have a kids menu where it's maybe a burger and fries and chicken fingers and grilled cheese, the same 5 or 6 items. And yet your girls are what, 6 and 4?
Just now 5 and 7.
5 and 7. More bad research.
No,
but
just like
they were month. Last time we saw you, they were 6 and 4.
Okay, thank you. You're covering for me. Learn from her, Paul.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're eating caviar. They're eating oysters. They're going to and experiencing tasting menus like
head cheese. They love it all.
Yeah. How important was that to you guys to expand their palates and not just be like, okay, this is what kids eat, so this is what you guys are going to have, but there's this whole world of culinary. And we want to show it to you.
I think they love our excitement for it. And it was important.
It was very important from the get-go. We just wanted them to eat everything. But that, like, all this being said, we don't claim to be like incredible parents. We try our best, and we're very lucky that our kids like to eat like this right now. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd love them the same if they didn't.
Right.
But
I'm not insinuating that you wouldn't love your kids if they didn't eat oysters.
Well, you just don't ever want to be one of those guys. It's like, yeah, my kid, they eat everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
okay.
we are so proud
lucky.
of them.
Yeah, we feel lucky that they did that.
But we have worked hard at it. They don't get screen time. They don't get, when you're at a restaurant, you're there to converse and to enjoy the company and enjoy the food. And again, to each his own, but that's how we wanted it.
Thing.
Yeah.
That's our thing that with ourselves and to enjoy with them is that whole, what you love about dining with your friends and your family. You get to sit and laugh and tell stories.
Talk about what you're going to eat later.
Yeah. What tastes good.
Yeah.
Steal off each other's plates and,
Yeah. So they're so fun, and we're pretty lucky so far.
Okay, so speaking of Evie, who's one of your daughters, your elder daughter, you had a special on August 25th that you claimed that Evie came up with. It looked absolutely delicious. It was a fried chicken leg with cheddar, mayo, barbecue sauce, pickles, and a charred sweet corn slaw on an herb and cheddar biscuit.
Yeah.
Now, we're all friends here, so we can be honest with each other. What % of that was Evie's creation, and how much help did she get from mom and dad?
90%, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We charred the corn, and we put herbs in the biscuit, but no, she was like, this is what I want.
And that would debone the leg.
Yeah. Because she wanted the leg, so yeah. But no, she just, like, they think, I mean, last week they were like, for our cold lunch this week, can you pack pickled herring and crackers?
Yeah.
And we're like, no. You're gonna get kicked out of school for that.
Yeah. No, they know what they like. They order for themselves. They completely, yes. They're very creative. Evie's especially, being older, she's super creative. I mean, yesterday she literally rummaged through the house and found a bunch of items to sell at a farm stand. And where we live, we get about 5 vehicles a day. And she's like, we have to do it at the end of our driveway because there's nothing else around. So where else are people going to get food? And I'm like, well, people really can't stop at the end of our driveway. But anyway, she made the signs and came up with a farm stand and all the items that she was going to sell. And we hauled it all down to the end of the driveway at 6:30 p.m. last night. And she sold 1 package of eggs.
Yep.
Sounds like a great time.
But the eggs were $1 and a little thing of honey was $10. So it was like, we'll have to work on it.
We'll work on those profit margins.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because, you guys talked about all the struggles when you first opened, and this is a very difficult life. Paul, you talked about you thought you were going to have to give up everything to be in culinary.
Yep.
And it seems like, your girls are definitely taking towards it. I'm sure on some level, because you guys love food so much, that's exciting, and you're like, well, maybe they'll get into this. But then the other side of you is just like, we've seen what this is and what this does to people. Do you, and maybe you haven't made this decision yet because they're still very young, but do you try and nudge them away from restaurant life? Do you just let them do whatever they want to do? Kind of what's your plan in terms of showing them all the possibilities that they could have?
I mean, I think that personally, I feel like you could say this about almost any line of work. You know what I mean? Anyone can complain and like, oh my God, don't do that for a living. That's the last thing you want to do. I just want them to be happy. So if they want to cook, then they can cook and I can help them. Anything else I can't help them.
I don't think we force them in any direction with anything they're doing. But we do love cooking with them and cooking for them and love that they're excited about food. And Evie, one of our favorite things lately is Paul will pull up a YouTube video or a TikTok of somebody cooking.
You're really showing TikTok.
Our age. And she'll just freak out. She's like, oh my gosh, we have to
This is part of the no screen time thing, though. She actually gets to look at a phone and she's like, but she's like, he's going to put an egg in it. She's going to put an egg in it. And it is a lot of fun to watch. So.
Yeah.
Something else that I think we have to hit on tonight for people on social media, for people in this room, is something that you brought up probably about 10 minutes, Paul, when you mentioned a second location. And I know you guys get asked all the time, when are we opening a second Block 16? Why don't you open a second Block 16 in West Omaha? I don't want to go downtown. Open a Block 16 closer to me. I want you guys to be able to use this platform right now to tell people why there hasn't been a second Block 16 and just how difficult and honestly dangerous it is for a restaurant, even just going from 1 to 2 locations.
Well, for us...
That challenging of a question?
For us as a couple, one of the things with Block 16 and when we opened, we enjoyed doing it. We enjoyed going to work together. We enjoyed working with each other and cooking and running the business. And we enjoy the time that we do have at work. I mean, even though we may not be talking for most of the day, we still get to be near each other and see each other. And if we opened a second location, number one, that's gone. And so sort of that romantic notion and that passion of actually physically doing the work, having our hands in the work, having it part of our livelihood, it becomes then business and it becomes managing 2 locations, and it takes away from some of that passion that I think keeps us going and keeps us inspired. And now obviously with kids, they wouldn't see us. I mean, we'd have to do it, the hours that we put in the beginning of Block 16, we'd have to do that all over again. And it's not to say that we haven't looked at other locations and that part of us...
Yeah, we look all the time.
Yeah, that we want to do that or do a different concept, but...
Yeah, the truth is, I could literally name 50 restaurants right now that were awesome and open up a second location and it sunk them. You know what I mean? And it'll sink both places, and that's a real risk. And it doesn't matter how good you're doing with a restaurant. Every restaurant out there is one bad month away from closing. And that's just the truth. Because
the overhead, the bills are there. They need to keep coming. If you're slow, you still have to pay that overhead.
Yeah, and so it's that's great. And then for 2, you're never, ever going to find someone that cares as much as you. You just won't. You can hire Thomas Keller to go run the second Block 16. He's one of the greatest chefs in the world. And he just isn't going to get it. You know what I mean? And the quality's not going to be the same. It can be close, but I mean, we've been approached 1,000 times to franchise and we could have cashed in and walked away, but we never signed up for this for the money. And the only reason we would do another Block 16 would be for money, and it would be for all the wrong reasons. And so we like to be there and we like to be hands-on and,
I love that. And I would like to personally apologize because I used to be one of those people who would always be like, come open one next to me. I'll be there every day. But it makes Block 16 all the more special because it's I don't have time to go downtown every day. But when I do, it's even more special now. So, so we've gone about 45 minutes and barely mentioned something amazing that happened earlier this year. You guys were nominated for a James Beard Award. Now, okay, let's applaud. It sounds like there's pretty good awareness in this room, but if anyone is unaware, the James Beard Awards are like the Grammys, the Emmys, whatever major award you want to compare. In the food world, that's what the Beard Awards are. How did you guys find out, and what were those initial emotions?
It was amazing. It was because that's another thing that, like, when we kind of went down the road of Block 16, it's like, well, we're giving up on all of that. Like, you're never going to get a Michelin star. You're never going to get a James Beard nomination. Like, we don't, that just doesn't happen. And we were getting interviewed, and there's a Milford magazine did a story on us, and if you look at if you Google us or look at any picture of us, Jess is always smiling. She has a beautiful smile, and I just don't smile. I just kind of am but we were like getting interviewed, and they were taking our pictures, and my phone started to go off, and it was Tim Nicholson from the Boiler Room, and he's like, "Dude, you guys got a James Beard nomination." I thought he was like just being a jerk, but then like other people started to text you, and Dave Utterback, and he's like, "Dude, you guys blah blah." And so then in that Milford magazine, like, we're just like red and glowing and giant smiles through the whole thing, and like
because we stopped the interview. We were like, we have to acknowledge this. We're freaking out.
It was crazy. So yeah, that's how we found out, and it was so exciting.
What does that mean in terms of validation for you guys, especially, knowing that you had an original dream, you pivoted, and you were still able to achieve this, this thing that so many chefs chase. Everybody wants it, so few get it, and you were still able to get there. Like, how validating was it that you did the right thing?
I mean, validating, but everything. Like shocking.
Yeah,
just like still shocking. It's just like, does that really happen?
We were kind of at a point where we're like, we're happy with who we are, and we're happy with what we're doing, and we're proud of what we do, and we don't expect anything else. And so when that happened, it was just kind of like the best, because it wasn't, we never looked. We were never like, oh, maybe we'll get nominated this year. It was just kind of
we looked to see who, all the other chefs, and congratulate the people in Omaha.
But it was never a thought. So it was really, really, really special.
You mentioned the other ones in Omaha. Now, Omaha has had chefs be nominated for the Beard Awards before, but I think the most we'd had was 2 in 1 year, maybe 3. This year we had 4. You two, and then Dave Utterback from Yoshitomo and Koji, and then Kane Atkinson, who runs the Kano pop-up. And David actually advanced and went to the awards ceremony. There are like multiple rounds where restaurants have to advance, and Dave went to the awards ceremony. I think it was in Chicago. How important and what does it mean to you guys to see Omaha's food scene start to get that kind of recognition, where 3 or 4 restaurants or concepts from this city are being named among the best in the Midwest?
It's amazing and well-deserved, and a long time coming. Really. So, I mean, again, that goes back to thanking people like you for bringing awareness.
You do not need to thank me that Omaha is getting beard nominations.
Well, recognition.
You might be giving this a little too much credit. But yes, I'm happy to be the trumpet for whatever small portion of the audience is listening to me. But I just think it's amazing. And you guys have honestly led that charge. And it was really interesting going back to the podcast that we did almost 4 years ago now in 2019. And something that you guys talked about on that show was how your class and kind of the years around you at Metro has really kind of come together and reshaped kind of what the Omaha cooking community looks like. And that's not to say that it wasn't great before, because there were the Darios, the Glenn Wheelers, the Jenny Cocos. They were already doing their thing. But the wave that came in with you guys, where it's Ben Mades, it's Joel Marr, Craig Hoffman, you guys, you kind of came in and helped take things a step further. What do you think was it about that class that kind of helped transform the Omaha restaurant scene?
Well, I don't think you should give Ben Mades too much credit.
Okay, forget Ben Mades. He's fixed.
Ben is Paul's best friend.
Yeah, true, yeah. I don't know what it was. I don't know. We all clicked. We all took it seriously, and we all had that mentality of like, we're going to do it. Like Ben, he was like, he opened up a restaurant with me right after culinary school, and he was just like, I got this opportunity in Denver or in Vail. And he's like, I'm going to go because I want to learn. And then he just like I mean, that guy has worked in, like Northern Italy. He worked at Cyrus, which was like the best restaurant in the world. He was in Napa for years. He's done all of this, and then he just brought it all back to Omaha. And I think that's what it was, is that we were all like
ambitious,
yeah. And we really love this city. And, you know, I grew up here and I've always loved this city, but there's been great restaurants, but it just seemed like we were like a few years behind everybody else, you know what I mean? And the more you travel and you move around and you see, like, it's like, God, why don't we have a tasting menu restaurant? Why don't we have a cool omakase? And like now I think other people have seen that too, like Utterback.
Well, you know? Like the passion, like look at David's passion, like the passion and the grit. Like, you know, I think Benny in the same boat. He's doing the grind. He's not making much money, and he's doing it for the food, for the love of food, for the love of cooking. And I think that's like, there's a lot of chef-driven restaurants, and you'll hear that term, but that's exactly what it is. It's chefs who are driven to provide this fabulous food, or food that they would eat, food that they want their friends to eat, food they want other chefs to eat. And I think these guys all have it. Joel.
Yeah, I mean, the mentality between us has all changed a lot too. Because when I was a kid working in kitchens, it was just like, you work here, you eat here, you don't talk to any other chefs, you don't tell anyone you like any other restaurant. This is where you cook.
It was competition.
And now we're like, dude, I'll tell you all of my favorite restaurants. And you know what I mean? We all care about each other, and we all want everyone to do well. So,
yeah.
When do you think that shift occurred, and why did it occur?
The camaraderie, the camaraderie. I think the culinary school was a big part of it, because we were all together, and we all then started, hey, I need this, or can you share this, or can I order this from you? Can you get extra in? We're
we all kind of started with the same
each other.
Nothing.
Yes. Yeah. That's the thing, the grit and the drive. You know, I think that is kind of getting to know each other on a level playing field, like culinary school.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it was changing before we got out, because there are people like Jenny Coco and Mike Rhodes and Glenn Wheeler that were there before us, and they were the first ones to be like, you got to go over to the Doubletree Hotel and try Mike Rhodes's cream sauce or whatever, and you got to go to Wheeler's and try his boneless chicken wings. And so that's where it kind of started, and then I feel like our generation just kind of took it, and we're like, yeah, this is fun, it's way better than
and we
fighting.
were also mentored by those guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you see that reflected in your social media posts now. I mean, when you guys go and get staff meal from another restaurant, whether it's, you know, Via Farina, Muchachos, you guys just did a shout-out post for camp the other day. I think that that's really cool, and it's really important to show people that this isn't just, I mean, yes, there's still some level of competition between restaurants, but it's become more collaborative. It's more of a community. And I think honestly, for as awful as COVID was, I think COVID kind of helped that shift a little bit too, in that everyone was struggling, so it became less of, you know, let's talk about how great our restaurant is versus someone else, where it was just like, just come out to eat. Yeah. Please come out to eat at any of our places. We want to make you happy. We want to feed you. Is there any truth to that, or am I grasping at straws?
I mean, you just gave COVID credit for like helping the culinary scene.
Dylan, wipe that.
No, I think you're right, because it was like, it leveled everybody. It didn't matter how good you were doing or how slow you were. We all had to figure stuff out, and we had to do it really fast.
And you wanted everyone to succeed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know? So yeah, I think it definitely, like, I know during it we were like, please, like, come get some food, but don't forget about the place around the corner. Don't forget about this place in Benson, because, you know, we were all just like, all the restaurant owners for 2 years straight, we just walked around with our eyes like, what are we going to do here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was terrifying. So yeah, I think it kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. And we were all like, whatever we got to do to help each other out.
Mm-hmm. Now, on that last podcast, you guys told a few stories about how you had this group, you know, that you'd kind of formed this special bond with, of these different cooks and chefs, and after hours they would come down to Block 16 and just like almost have like mini parties, maybe not even mini.
Oh yeah.
How special is it to have that bond of people in an industry that, I mean, you know, I can't imagine like any other industry where that would happen, where there's people from all different companies that are competing during the day for business, but then at night they're coming together and like celebrating one another. How unique is that?
It was awesome,
Yeah,
and it needed to happen. It really did, and it started out very simple. Like we were just doing like, we had like hot dogs and foie gras
People brought their own coolers or
yeah, and we just
whatever,
like called
bottle.
Kulik over at the boiler room, and we're like, hey, you guys want to get drunk tonight? And they're like, yeah, we close at 2 or whatever. And so we would just like, everyone, you know, would just cook and just drink, and it grew in like tiny little Block 16.
And we'd wince. I mean, we'd wince about negative reviews and funny,
all
funny things going on in the industry, you know.
Yeah, good time to just, you know, blow some steam off.
Right.
But I can't even imagine doing that now.
Well, especially with the kids.
I'm in like nap
hard.
age at this point, so I almost fell asleep before I came here. But yeah, it was awesome, and it was just cool to like, people just started showing up that like we're never not invited, but we didn't know them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the guys from M's Pub are coming. Oh, the, you know, whatever, the guys from Ocaron are coming out, and it just like all of a sudden we like got to be
When Kane
friends.
first started coming, we're like, are
Kane
you
was like
old enough
7
to
years
be
old.
here?
Yeah. Kane, he's like one of the best chefs at Omaha now. He was like this big. And each show we're like, oh my God, like, we're going to get in trouble.
Okay, we're running down on time here, but there's something else that I have to ask you guys about, because we mentioned you were huge fans of Alton Brown before he came to the restaurant, and obviously that hasn't decreased at all since. He got in a little bit of hot water with Omaha and Nebraska in general a couple months ago with his chili and cinnamon rolls take.
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, he was doing a tour of, I think it was Good Eats Live, and he heard of the chili and cinnamon roll combo that's so beloved here. And Alton is someone who likes to experience lots of different culinary experiences, especially regional things. So he's like, I'm going to try it. So he went to Runza, picked up the combo, and posted his experience on Twitter. Now, I've never seen anyone eat chili and cinnamon rolls like this. He just took a spoonful of the chili, dumped it on the top of the cinnamon roll, ate it, and he's filming himself the whole time. He kind of makes a face and then just puts his spoon down and shuts the camera off and didn't say anything. Clearly did not love it. And Nebraskans just roasted him about how that's not how you eat chili and cinnamon rolls, and how dare he, and why is he going to Runza and doing that? He should go somewhere real and get it. So he had a couple I don't think he cares what we all think. But anyway, did you guys see that video, and what did you think of Alton's chili and cinnamon rolls take?
I did not see it.
I saw it because I was made aware of it a million times over. And for one, like, you should never post anything on Twitter ever.
No, nope.
I mean, all of the like meanest people join forces on Twitter. Like, I'll just be real quick here.
No,
one
go
time,
for it.
I made a joke, and all I do is I put it on Facebook, copy paste it on Twitter, and I did that, and it was like, it was funny, but I just didn't think about it. I posted it, and then I went home, and we like camped with our kids and like played outside and did all this stuff, and then I went on the next morning. And I went to post a special, and I had like 3,000 comments, and there were like 50 people that were going back and like, I can't believe he made that joke. Look at this guy. Now he won't even stick up for himself. And they're like tagging me, and I'm like, no, like I just went outside and I wasn't on my phone all day. But so yeah, I don't think he should have posted anything on Twitter. And I found the whole thing like silly, that if anyone took more than like 30 seconds out of their day to like trash somebody because they didn't eat the way you want them to eat, that's where like the internet is like such a double-edged sword. Like, it's helped us so much, but it beats you up after a while. You know what I mean? Of just like, there's that many miserable people out there that are that upset about him pouring chili over a cinnamon roll. At least he tried it.
He did try it. I don't think he'll try it again.
I don't think. Yeah.
So I'm interested because we've got two culinary professionals here. One from the Midwest. Mm-hmm. One not from the Midwest. And chili and cinnamon rolls tends to be one of those things where if you're from here, you love it and you will stick up for it. And if you're not from here, you're just like, what? Oh, this makes no sense. What is this? Where do you guys stand on chili and cinnamon rolls as a combo?
I've never tried it.
Well, you have, because we did do a chili and cinnamon rolls burger years ago.
But I don't know that I ate it.
You probably ate it. And it wasn't that long ago because Ellie Pegler at Farine and Four made us the cinnamon rolls. We cut them in half, and then we made like a chili burger. And
yeah, but that's different than...
Yeah, and see, I grew up here, and I didn't know it was a thing.
Oh, really?
Up until, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, until everyone lost their minds over Alton Brown eating it wrong. And so we had done a chili and cinnamon rolls burger, because I was like, oh, well, we have to now that I know it's a thing. And I mean...
Do you dip it? You rip off a piece of the cinnamon roll and dip it?
It's like an accompaniment.
I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Generally, when I eat it, I don't, like, eat it together. Like, I'll just take a bite of one and have a bite of the other. I've seen people do it. I've seen people, like, rip it apart and use it as, like, croutons or to dip, like...
See, so why aren't you blasting them on Twitter?
What?
Why aren't you blasting them on Twitter? Like, I'm saying, like...
No, okay, I see what you're saying, yes. Because all these random people who eat it weird don't have... I don't know how many million followers it has, but you're totally right. Those same people eat it like monsters too.
Well, that's like I've always assumed like you just eat the chili and then you take a bite of the cinnamon roll, so it's like sweet and salty. But I don't know, man. Yeah.
I mean that's what I've always done, but I guess you can eat it however you want.
Yeah, because you don't want to like hollow out the cinnamon roll because all the good stuff is in the middle. Pour the chili in that.
You know, like a bread bowl.
Like a bread bowl.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Yeah. But I think the number one lesson, the only wrong way to eat it is to post it on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, one more question for you guys, and this is a question that I like to ask just about every guest that I have on the episode because I think it really helps us as diners learn, and I hope become better diners. And I was not asking this question when I had you guys on last time, so I'm curious to get your answers now. What is one thing that you think most diners, most people who come into a restaurant that have not spent time in the restaurant industry don't understand about restaurant life that you wish they did understand?
I mean, we're all human.
Yeah. That we really just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just it. Like, that's why we do it. No one, like...
Even the servers, like, we're all human, and they want you to have a good experience.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of us that are jaded, and, you know, you don't project that type of energy, but really, like, there's a lot of other jobs out there that pay a lot more than being a line cook or a server. But even if someone's complaining about their job, we love it, and we want you to be happy. And like we want you to say something if it's like if it's not good, and
say something.
Yeah, say
right
something.
Then and there. Don't be shy about it.
Don't go home and pound away on your keyboard when like you have the opportunity to say no, I didn't like this, because we will always make it right. If you come to us like a grown up, we've even. Well,
there's part of the problem right there. People have to act like grown-ups in public.
Yeah. But I mean, we've had people. We had a woman that was so upset with us one time. It was over a salad or something but she was like shaking mad to the point where like I was like, I will do anything. I will buy you a gift card to another restaurant because I know you don't ever want to come back here. And she was like, I want a $50 gift card to Lone Star. And I was like, it's done. I bought her a gift card to Lone Star because I don't want anyone. At least she talked to us about it, even though she was irrational. And Lone Star, but you know.
But like sometimes, like say the kitchen would make a mistake. Say you're training somebody new and they put too much salt in your gravy, and you eat the gravy and it's inedible and it's super salty. Well, we may not know that. Maybe we didn't taste it ourselves. And so as a diner, if you're eating something and it's like, whoa, this is like frightening, like wrong, then just say something, because then the kitchen will be aware of it and there won't be 50 other people that have this horrible salty gravy, and it can be fixed. Mm-hmm. And we genuinely want to make you happy.
Yeah, we really don't want anyone to leave unhappy. We don't. I mean, so I guess that's another long answer.
When you look back at your careers and what Block 16 has become and what you've transformed, and this family, you know, that you've built there, with the family that you built outside and the family that you built there with, you know, this team of cooks that you're so proud of. Looking back at your whole career, like what brings you the most joy? Like what's just overall, like when you think about your career, what's most memorable? What brings you the most joy? However you want to take that question.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I mean, personally, like mine is that we have a family and we have children and we're actually able to spend time with them. Like that really, like I said, I literally never thought that would be a possibility like that. And so just, yeah, the fact that we now live, like when we're about 10 minutes away from our house, we lose all phone reception and it's just peace and quiet. And we go home and we're just this little family on a farm. And it's like, how did that, like, we have health insurance. I mean,
and we're still doing what we love.
Yeah.
And like we did have some hardships and we had hardships before that. And just to be here and to have such a following and, it's crazy and it's also awesome because we still love going to work. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for going through the struggle early on, for pushing through, for persevering, because you have created not only just one of Omaha's most special restaurants, I think, but one that's like a part of the culinary backbone. And it was such a joy for me, even when I was just another guy on Twitter who was tweeting at you all the time. Sorry. But
we loved it.
It was a joy for me just to enjoy your food. But as I've gotten a chance to know you guys, outside and even become friends, like you honestly like inspire me, not just to expand my palate and, become better culinary, but you've made me think about like what it looks like to be a parent, what it looks like to be a spouse. I mean, you guys truly are an inspiration to so many people, both inside and outside the restaurant industry. Thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for coming out and doing this tonight. This is incredible.
Really nice, thank you. Jeez.
Thank you, Dan.
You make us cry.
That was the goal.
That is back at you. We've really enjoyed getting to know you and Sarah so much, and you guys are great. And it's been a wild ride and really cool getting to know you guys.
So. Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.